Happy Tuesday, parents. We're talking about grit, and I love talking about this subject, but my favorite thing to say when I talk about grit is that grit is not invincibility. I have a whole podcast episode where I talk about this and explain really personal examples of how grit is not invincibility. But I thought today I would give you 3 really tangible ways that you can work with this, because to be honest, people are not feeling well right now. I know that's an overarching statement, but I think that it's pretty safe to say that many of us are not feeling amazing right now, that there are a lot of struggles and challenges that we're dealing with. And in month 14 of a pandemic, sometimes grit alone is not enough. And we need to do other things to be able to support each other so that we can survive when our own grit is not enough. So here are some ways that you can step up and step in and help people manage these tough situations. So the first thing that you can do is just to check in, just to show that you're there. It seems really, really minor. It's a small thing, but it's so powerful. A few months ago, I was going through a really, really tough time. There was a situation at school that was beyond my planning and beyond my control and really affected me in a big way. And some of you understood that and reached out to me. And in particular, there were 2 parents who called me within almost 20 minutes of each other. So it was almost like it was planned. But it was so incredibly helpful to me, even though in that moment I cried. It was hard for me to be able to listen to their kind words, but they just said, we know that you're not getting a lot of positivity right now, but we see the work that you're doing. We support the work that you're doing, and we're really grateful to have you. And their 5 minutes of time that they dedicated, this is 2 months ago, and it still is hard for me to talk about without tearing up. It affected me so much. Other parents have written emails, and again, short, takes maybe 30 seconds. But those words of kindness and support, when we can sense that somebody is really going through a tough time, it's life-changing. It's really a way to help recharge that person's batteries. And I know for me, it's meant the world. Another thing that we can do is just step in a bit and take something on for someone else. Again, really, really small things that can make a huge impact. So I think about my wonderful colleagues that I have on the leadership team, and some days they can tell that I'm not doing great. I need some extra support. I need some time to just be able to focus on work tasks or take a moment for myself. And those small moments, like on the schoolyard, where Mr. Pruden can see through the sunglasses and say to me, I think you need some time. I've got it covered outside. Go in, lock yourself in your office, and just get some work done in peace and quiet. That simple act of kindness, it makes such a world of difference. And again, it's nothing huge. It's not a huge investment of time or energy, but it's just that gesture that lightens my burden a little bit. I'll tell a story also about something really small. A few years ago, one of our teachers was running late for school. I think the trains or buses or something was messed up, and she was coming in late, and I just covered the beginning of her class because it's fine. It's letting some kids in. I didn't know the subject, so it was really the content was not going to be great, but just making sure that they started in a calm way and that they had something to do until she arrived. And she came in the door, and she, was rushing in with all of her bags and her jacket, and she was just kind of flustered. And I said, do you just want to take a few minutes to get a coffee or something. Like, I'm fine. I can take this for a few more minutes. And she brought that up as one of the most impactful moments of our first year together. And I thought, like, it really did not take any extra energy on my part. It didn't. It was such a small gesture. But for her, it was really impactful and really powerful. And the third thing, and this is some tough advice, but sometimes it's learning to save your criticism. It's been really hard for me. I'm a perfectionist. I have very, very high demands on myself and other people. But sometimes I can reflect on a person's well-being and situation and know that now is not the time to make that critical remark. Now is not the time to pick at something. So if I can see that a teacher maybe hasn't posted their lesson plans in the way that they should that day, or I cover the first few minutes of their lesson because they're running late and I don't bring it up because I know that deep down the problem isn't that superficial thing about them not being organized or on time. It's something much, much bigger than that. And if I can help support them so that they can get through that tougher situation, whether it's them having personal problems at home or them dealing with a big life-changing event or having some stress at work or dealing with the 14th month of a pandemic, whatever it may be, lightening their load a little bit by just supporting them and not picking at things. And I have appreciated so much. I know that we haven't dealt with the pandemic in the best way possible. That there are some things with like distance learning that we could have done better. There are some ways that we could have communicated things better. But I'm so appreciative of the support that I have from people who understand the bigger picture. That like, okay, we know that you're doing your best. I am very aware of what I'm doing wrong. Most people are, and when they're feeling really badly, it's not helpful for us to pick at those small things because it doesn't help them improve their situation. It just makes them feel worse. So supporting people and maybe saving our criticism for a different time. Those are just a few ways to support people when grit is not enough. So remember to step up and step in when grit is not enough. Have a wonderful week.